Howdy folks, I'm back on my daughter's 1997 Suzuki Sidekick. It's Sport JLX. And what I'm going to do today is replace the front brakes and rotors on this thing. So I've not done it on this vehicle yet, so let's see what we can get into. These lug nuts are 3/4 of an inch. Alright, I've got the wheel turned just so I can get in here a little bit better. We got two bolts here for the calipers, one here and one here. This one is a 17 millimeter and this one down here is a 14 millimeter. That's kind of different. Said this is a 14 millimeter here. It's kind of stiff. It is. Just gonna try to open that caliper up a little bit. Now I'm pressing on this caliper right here and I've got the screwdriver in one of these holes. Really doesn't matter on this one because I am replacing the rotor on it too, but if you were not replacing the rotor you wouldn't want to put your screwdriver against the face of that. I could if I wanted to on this one because like I said I'm replacing it anyway, but right now I just want to spread it apart enough to get that off of there, which is easy enough. And since I am replacing, if I was just doing the brakes I wouldn't have to take this off, but I do, since I'm doing the replacing the rotors, I do have to take it off. Set that there out of the way. And I'm not sure what size those are. Kind of looks like it might be a 15 mil. No, it's 14. Or no, I mean 17. Kind of get you around here where you can see a little bit. Anyway, you got one here and one here. Probably going to get in your way here in a minute, but have to get a hammer to pop that loose. I just got a brass hammer here, see if we can tap on it. It's not being held on anything, just rust is holding it on. And I sometimes have to tap them. Well, that's not going to work. It looks like I'll probably have to put a couple of bolts in here. That's why they have these holes right here. Just thread some bolts in there, and it should just pop it loose. So let me see if I can find something that'll go in there. Alright, I actually got the rotor loose just by beating on it with that hammer. I tried to go to the hardware store. I didn't know what size holes these were. I'm pretty sure they're 8mm, but these are so rusted inside, so much rust built up inside those threads that I just really couldn't. It wanted to start, but it just wouldn't quite. So I wish I could find out what size those were for you, but I don't know. So anyway, I just came along and beat on this all the way around, and finally it broke loose, which is what you have to do with a lot of them anyway. So that comes off then. Now let's go back with the new one. Try not to get grease and oil on the rotor itself. Just let that hang there for a little bit. Going to compress that piston back in there. We did it a little bit and we took it off, but these brakes are going to be a lot thicker, so just kind of slowly crank that in there until it stops. I could have done this before while it was on, actually. Just press it against the front of it, the brake pad, but it doesn't really matter when you do it. And that feels like it's bottomed out. Alright, so we'll take these brake pads out. And now that one has a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch. This one here is about gone, just right before it started to get to metal. Just watch how you take these clips out, how they're in there. Just take them out and just do them one at a time. And just put the others in just like that came out. And I think I got the wrong one. There we go. Because there is a right and a left on these little clips. both of these, all these brakes are identical, so there is no right or left on these. Putting that one on backwards though. There we go. Set that down. I'm going to spray these bolts with some WD-40 before I go back in with them. Alright, so go back on with our brakes. We got them spread apart far enough. Kind of push our rotor back up here. Sorry, I do not know what the torque specifications are on this. We don't have a book for it, so I'm just going to tighten them to what I think it ought to be. What's the German word for that, Shelby?
Gesundheit.
Yeah, there you go. Alright. Come on, baby. Alright. Just kind of press those up against the rotor as much as we can. If it probably won't stay. Maybe it will. So now we've got this already spread apart. So that slips right on there without any problem. And our big one was on the top. Get it into that little rubber boot. Somehow. There we got it. Start this one down here. good and tight. That one. And then, if I can find my socket, there we go. And again, that one was 14, the top one was 17. Don't know why they made those two different sizes. Red light. You're standing in the video there, buddy.
And if anybody would like to know what kind of impact this guy's using, 1970s model, limited edition. Well, I tried to thread those bolts in those holes on this side. They looked a little better. I thought maybe I could, but I still can't get them in there. They act like they want to go. It seems like it's probably about 8mm, but I don't know. I'm just going to beat on it here. I put the lug nuts on here just to kind of protect the studs in case I miss, which is very possible. So I'm just going to start beating on it. We'll see what we get out of it. Again, you really shouldn't do that, but I mean, if you took it a little bit lighter, and I am using a brass hammer, but I'm going to replace these rotors anyway, obviously. But if you weren't replacing them, then that would be kind of dangerous, but you got to do what you got to do, I guess. This one feels really tight. I think I'm going to get a bigger C-clamp. That's kind of hard to grip. Actually, brake fluid dripping onto the ground out of the master cylinder. We'll have to see how that does then. Might end up having to replace that caliper. It didn't look like there was any difference in the brakes. It looks like it'd been working properly, but we'll see. Okay, so that's it. Next thing I'm going to do is get in the car there and pump up the brakes. Don't forget to pump up your brakes and squeeze those brake pads back down since we spread those apart. Squeeze them back down to the rotor again, because if you take off driving and there's something in front of you, you're not going to be able to stop very fast. You'll have to hurry up and pump them at the time, and sometimes you don't have enough time. So make sure you do that. And that is it. So hope that helps somebody. And thanks for watching again, folks.